We're celebrating the summer holidays right now. There's a special subset of PPCers who have a very different holiday on their minds. 2020 and 2021 were both unprecedented holiday shopping seasons, and I'm sure that 2022 will be unprecedented as well. So how can we prepare for an unprecedented year? Welcome to PPC.zone August 2022. I'm your host, Jyll Saskin Gales, and I created this event to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. Here's how it works. Everyone is invited to apply to speak at ppc.zone. Every month, I select 3 speakers to each give a 7-minute presentation on a topic of their expertise. Then we get together for a live panel to answer your questions from our live audience on YouTube and LinkedIn. For those who missed the event, you can watch the recording later on YouTube. You can subscribe to the PPC Zone podcast in your favorite podcast app, and you can also read the transcript of all of our talks on the ppc.zone website. Again, the links to apply, watch, and catch up are all at ppc.zone. Let's get started. First up in the zone, we have a speaker with more than 15 years of experience in marketing, advertising, and business intelligence. He's been running his own agency for the last 5 years and is here to share his perspective on Meta and the new commerce frontier. He volunteered his time to mentor one of our speakers at last month's PPC Zone, but today is his time to shine. Please welcome Cory Henke.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here and excited to get started. And we'll be talking about Meta and the new commerce frontier. Cory Henke, as Jyll mentioned, at our agency, we're primarily e-commerce. A big differentiator for us is the fact that we have really cool analytics tools. And I've been speaking for about 5 years as well across a variety of different conferences. And so today we'll talk about the social commerce landscape, Meta's IG shop, Meta's commerce manager, as well as what we see in the future. So first, let's talk a little bit about the landscape. What we can see is that social commerce sales have increased and will continue to increase to 2025, according to eMarketer, and large increases during the pandemic, and we will still see double-digit increases through 2025. The most important factor is the fact that like all social channels have the ability to do social commerce. It's just Facebook and Instagram which drive the most inspiration to make a purchase, as well as the most direct purchase on platform. And that's, again, something that we will discuss today. But the important part is to understand that all social channels or platforms have the ability to let advertisers have a shop. I think the unique thing about Meta's shop is the fact that you're able to have the ability to customize the cover art as well as the order of the products. And if you click on a collection, you're able to then see the products in the second screen. And then if you click on a product, you're able to see a product page within your Meta shop, or this is an IG shop example. And a new feature is the ability to do layout optimization, which is basically if you turn this feature on, you allow Facebook to be able to change the cards and collections in your shop to what they know about a user in terms of what they might click on or convert. How do people find the shop? The 2 primary ways are through a brand page and clicking the View Shop button directly to the brand shop page, where you can then browse categories, look at collections or specific products. The next area is a newsfeed post. And that way you can click View Shop to end up on the shop core brand page, or you can click the actual product tag, which brings you into the actual product page, where you also have the ability to host UGC images as well as videos. What's interesting is that there's also a shop tab. And the shop tab is new because it's now getting premium placement right there at the bottom of the Instagram screen. And when you click on that shop tab, you're able to see now categories. And these different categories are listed here on the left. But you also have this area, this top tab area. And in this tab area, you have very unique sort of views into shops you follow. So there's people and brands that you follow. And if they have a shop, this is going to pop up here. And then you have an offer section where you can have offers, and then a featured section, which are called drops. And these are just new products for brands, as well as you have IG Live, as well as buy on Instagram. And so these are products on buy on Instagram where you can purchase directly on Instagram. So one of the other cool features that we've been diving into a little bit more is specifically the search inside of Shop. And you can see on the far left, if you search for something, you get both searches as well as brands. And the interesting thing is that those brands, they usually have the keyword in their description or potentially their name, which I think does matter and something that we're helping advertisers with. And the next screen, you'll see like when you search for, a keyword, you can sometimes find other keywords that might help you from a blog perspective, content perspective, or just product development. In the third card, you'll see that when you click on, a search term, you end up with that product view, and you get a chance to change price, color, material. But most importantly, there are these two little arrows on the far right are what you see when you can buy something on Instagram. And we're wondering if that gets premium placement in the future. Next, we'll look specifically at the Commerce Manager. And so this is where you manage a lot of the aspects of your shop, as well as see into some of the analytics. So the first thing is that you get a variety of analytics. And Facebook does a great job of taking data that was inside of your shop and then marrying it to data that happened on your website. So they can see product views, clicks to websites, as well as purchases on your website from people who visited your shop. Now you can break things down by top posts, where visitors came from, but ultimately they want you to unlock more data by implementing checkout. The goal of Instagram is to implement checkout, and also the goal of Instagram is to get users to purchase on Instagram. And so this is a great way, by providing you more data, to get brands to implement checkout. This is one of the coolest features that I found, is the ability to look at followers versus non-followers in terms of how they purchase on your website. I think one of the things we've always tried to figure out is the worth of a follower. But in this case, I can easily show that within a month's time span, revenue has increased by 121%, and 70% of that revenue can be sourced to followers versus non-followers. I think this helps me understand that like followers actually mean something, and I could put more effort into driving more potential followers. The next thing is discovery. How do people find our shop, right? And one of the most important areas is like they find our shop from within the shop. Right? If people are just browsing within a shop, they can find our shop, and that's one way that they find it, and that has grown over time. The other way is by product tagging, and that's the most important one to this specific brand, as you see at the top with Instagram feed. And so we've seen that also grow as Reels has grown as well. So those two pieces are important, and then the piece at the bottom, which would be IG Shop Search, we're also watching this grow. And the cool thing about it is they give us this really cool Google Analytics metric called bounce rate. And Instagram Shop Search, with the intent, does have the lowest bounce rate as it's growing, something we're watching closely, as Instagram search is probably going to be as impactful as Amazon search, but maybe not as impactful as Google search. Ultimately, when we think about the future of social commerce, it's going to come down to placing an order within this app. And so to convince brands to do that, Facebook is now saying no fees through the end of 2022. They'll allow, if you implement checkout, to do product launches, offers, have shopping partners, do live shopping, which is on IG, goes away on Facebook October 1st. The affiliate program is currently on hold. And then the conversion beta that we're testing across multiple brands, being able to see conversions from organic posts that are tagged with the product, has been super advantageous to us, as well as comparing creators that tag our posts that end up in our shop. Also great to see the conversions there, compare, contrast, but great things coming. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that the big upcoming battle is Instagram versus Amazon. And I believe this really becomes a true, race when Instagram adds the shop feature to the web. And so that's where I think this becomes the biggest battle, but that is the future. And ultimately, I really appreciate the time, PPC Zone, Jyll, and everybody watching today. Thank you.
Thank you, Cory, for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the Zone. If you'd like to connect with Cory, you can find him on Twitter @CoryHenke. And if you have a question for Cory, you can go ahead and type it into the chat right now, and we will get to that during our upcoming live panel. So appropriately, Cory mentioned that the upcoming battle he sees is between Instagram and Amazon. Well, next up in the Zone, the speaker is a full-time e-commerce business owner who uses the Amazon FBA model. Now she's going to share her perspective with us on the current state of Amazon PPC. This speaker wears many hats in her business, including product developer and marketing specialist, but she takes great pride in managing her PPC portfolio. You may know her from her value-packed TikTok and Instagram content. Please welcome Mandeep Kaur.
Hello, and Cory, that was a great segue, and I just wanted to say that was not actually planned. So, welcome everybody. My name is Mandeep Kaur, and we are going to discuss a little bit about Amazon's PPC and preparation I am doing currently for Q4. As Jyll had mentioned, I do my own PPC for a couple of different reasons. I actually enjoy the analytics and the data that I collect, and I really just enjoy it. It's learning so much about how we are targeting our customers and the innovative ways Amazon is doing it is something I'm just really interested in. So a little bit about me. I am a full-time e-commerce seller. I come from a corporate background, but I decided to start an Amazon FBA business. And like many people who start their own business, you end up bootstrapping and learning every aspect of the business. And I took a really deep dive on PPC, which I feel is one of my specialties. Now, the Amazon FBA model, what a lot of people may not understand about Amazon is that Amazon does not hold all the inventory and sell all of these products. A lot of the products that are available on Amazon are actually made available to via small businesses such as myself. So it's called the Fulfilled by Amazon model, which allows me to send in my inventory to Amazon, and Amazon picks and packs the orders and sends them to the customer. I guess the comparison would be eBay, but with eBay, with Amazon, I don't have to store any of the inventory. Amazon takes a charge of that, obviously, for a fee. Now, Q4 prep. Just to highlight what exactly is a sponsored ad and what does that look like? I'm sure a majority of the people here are Amazon buyers. And the two images here I have of the garlic press, the one on the left where it just says sponsored, that means that is what a sponsored campaign would look like, where the seller of that product is running some sort of targeted ad for that keyword to display their product in front of customers. Now, the one on the right is what we have organic ranking, meaning it's converted highly on that keyword, and Amazon awards us by not having to pay to have advertising. And that is always the end goal of any sort of campaign that we launch, is we want that organic traffic, because that is when us Amazon sellers really do see profitability in our business. So to understand where we are going at Amazon PPC in regards to Q4, it's really important to understand what the purpose of their campaigns are. And it is really to boost visibility and exposure, increase product sales, and make sure we've optimized SEO so we can get that organic exposure and all the traffic that Amazon does provide us. And there's a couple of strategies I actually used last year and will continue to use this year. But it's one of the things I also, when I consult with brands, we talk about how we can leverage their listing or their product to give it more of a Q4 feel. So for example, here's an example of a product that is just a coffee mug, but having that Christmas-oriented backdrop in the photo does signal a higher propensity or a higher intention to want to buy this product. Making changes to your photos or the last image to make it that holiday feel, I feel like has created a higher level of conversion on Amazon. Video ads for Q4, just like video ads for my overall Amazon outreach, I find perform very well. Video ads tend to have a lower cost per click, but the visibility you get on Amazon with video ads, it's usually shown midway in the keyword search result. And because it is interactive and it is moving, I feel like the eyes tend to gravitate toward that video ad. So it does make sense to run continuous video ads throughout Q4. And if not, be a little more aggressive on maybe broader keywords, because I do think video ads perform really well. Tip number 2 is high budgets don't always make a lot of sense. I am not for the theory that you have to be the first product on the first page of that keyword. You do want to be on the first page, but you don't necessarily have to be the first product shown. And the reason I say that is Amazon is now staggering a lot of their ads on the first page. And I feel like when we put too high of a budget to be in that optimal spot, you tend to run out of budget because Q4 PPC tends to be higher compared to the other quarters. So actually coming in with a mid or lower budget will still have your product gain visibility, and it'll be a lower cost per click in ad spend. Because at the end of the day, Amazon will show your product versus an organic spot if other people have run out of their budget. So rather than having this aggressive strategy, let's try to have our product shown around noon by having that lower budget, because other sellers in that niche or for that keyword will have probably run out of their budget. Adding value with a bundle. Now, I know this isn't per se a PPC strategy, but I think it does tie in with Q4 and conversions, is adding some sort of small gift with every purchase. Now, some of these gifts can be, about 50 to 75 cents, not much for the product, but it does give another level of satisfaction to the customer that helps with conversions, that helps with your organic ranking. And that really is the purpose of any PPC campaign. So for example, if you're selling makeup brushes, adding a makeup brush bag that will add more value to the product will help your conversions in comparison to other makeup brushes that might be available during Q4. And that is all I have for today. I hope I stayed under time, but if you do have any additional questions about Amazon PPC and just the state of selling on Amazon, feel free to connect with me on TikTok or Instagram.
Thank you, Mandeep, for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the zone. If you'd like to connect with Mandeep, you can find her on TikTok at Mandeep Amazon FBA or on Instagram at Mandeep K Amazon FBA. And if you do have a question for Mandeep, then make sure to type it into the chat right now if you're watching this live on YouTube or LinkedIn, and we will get to your questions during the upcoming panel. Our final speaker in the zone this month is a digital advertising expert with over a decade of success developing high-impact marketing strategies for online retailers and services clients. He's here to share his perspective on one of the hottest topics in PPC right now, making the most of Performance Max this holiday season. If you've spent any time on PPC Chat Twitter, his name will be familiar to you. Please join me in welcoming Menachem Ani.
Thank you so much for having me today. As Jyll mentioned, my name is Menachem. I'm the founder of JXT Group. We're a digital advertising agency based on the Jersey Shore here in the USA. And I'm excited to present 7 tips on Performance Max for this holiday season. As Jyll mentioned, I've been advertising with Google for a really long time, and Performance Max is probably the largest shift we've ever seen from Google. For me, change is typically exciting because it brings opportunity. And so we'll share our best practices on the campaign type today. If you've been reliant on smart shopping historically, it's a really good idea to get ahead and start testing Performance Max. This is the official timeline that Google has released starting in July. They've been doing automatic upgrades, and your campaigns will be fully migrated by the end of September, even if you don't take any action on your end. So you definitely want to get ahead of that. And now we'll dive into some tips. So first and foremost, as with anything, using an automated system is really important to give the system the right inputs. And so with Performance Max campaigns, you cannot target specific audiences, but you can provide audience signals. And so some really good ideas for the right audience signals for this holiday season is to use your first-party data, upload your customer list, your high-value customers, last year's best customers, email subscribers. As well as that, you can create custom intent audiences, which are based on like high-level top keywords that have performed well in other areas of your account. Basically give the system a head start on kind of what's important and who's the right customer to target. The second tip for today is just structuring your asset groups correctly. Typically, we recommend building asset groups around product themes or categories. It's a good idea to create an asset group for promotional items around the holiday season. And you'll want to upload all the correct creative images to match the underlying products within the group or any promotional assets. Something important to keep in mind with Performance Max that a lot of people have mentioned is Google will create a video for you if you don't have one. So it's a really good idea to get a good video in place and take advantage of that. You can use the video builder tool, which is released in Google Ads under the asset library. It's definitely a good tool to get something started if you don't have anything better. With anything related to shopping, and especially Performance Max, it's really important to make sure you get your data feed down, specifically focusing on areas that may not come through automatically if you're using a default setup from Shopify or anything like that. You want to make sure you have all your identifiers in place in Merchant Center, which is typically comprised of the brand, the MPN, and the UPC code. Additionally, you want to make sure that your titles are keyword rich, your descriptions are really fully fleshed out, and then categorizing your products in the Google taxonomy and the product type really helps Google understand what the products that you're advertising are and when they should surface it. Again, Performance Max is really reliant on the system understanding the product that you're selling. So this is super important to get right. And then lastly, custom labels are really important in Performance Max, especially so you can segment products into different asset groups or by campaign type. Additionally, for the holiday season especially, you want to really take advantage of the promotional nature of the campaigns. So typically that can be done in a couple of different ways. One is just drop the price in the data feed. The system will recognize if you use that in the sales price column as opposed to just the standard price column, it'll notice a price drop and it will notate the product as such in the search results. Additionally, you can use price extensions on the Google Ads side and promotion extensions with your coupon code, set them up in both Google Ads and in Merchant Center. Performance Max, which displays ads on search and shopping, it's a good idea to get those ad extensions set up on both sides, both in Google Ads as a promotion extension and in Merchant Center as a promotion. Lastly, when it comes to bids and budgets, you want to make sure that you're providing really good inputs for the system, but you don't ever want to shock the system. Anything that's using automation, it takes time for the system to understand what's working, what's not working. And so this means changing things slowly. And typically we recommend increasing budgets incrementally over time as opposed to large increases. So the system doesn't have to suddenly start to try to find new audiences or new search terms to bring customers in. And when you launch a new campaign with Performance Max, it's a good idea to make sure the system has enough data. So we typically start out with maximize conversions as your bid strategy so that the system can gather information, see what's converting, what's not, and then slowly move to those performance KPIs using either target CPA or target ROAS so the system can really start to hit your goals. And again, incrementally make adjustments. Don't change anything too heavy, too hard, too fast, because it'll just throw the system off. Something that a lot of folks have been talking about in the Twitter PPC chat community is setting up a smart shopping style campaign. This can work really well, especially if you've seen a lot of success with smart shopping and are being forced to migrate to Performance Max. What this means is you're basically setting up Performance Max without any assets, so that it's forced to run as a smart shopping campaign. It's not exactly the same in everything we've seen, but it's pretty similar. And you'll need to likely create a new asset group because editing an existing asset group won't allow you to save it without the image in the headline. So you'll want to create a new asset group and it'll allow you to save it without any of those assets. This is something that we've seen a lot of success in across a lot of our clients. And just kind of flipping to the other side of that, for some of our clients, we have not seen success in like a smart shopping style. We've seen success almost on the other end, which is the paid social style. So using Performance Max, more of a Facebook or TikTok type of ad where you give it all the assets, the images, the videos, but without your product feed, and just allow it to run ads on YouTube, Gmail, Discover, GDN, using everything except for your data feed. And typically we see a lot of success with these types of campaigns if you've got a product that's more of an impulse purchase, anything that is a quick and easy purchase, this can definitely work well for. That's definitely something worth testing. And again, with all this stuff, it's a really good idea to start testing now, so you have time to really figure out what works and what doesn't for your brand, for your store before the holiday season. Ultimately, like I mentioned, Performance Max is probably the largest shift we've ever seen from Google, and change brings opportunity. So I like to try to get ahead of it, start testing, and really see what works for your company. As Jyll mentioned earlier, the past couple of years, the holiday season has been unprecedented. Shopping has been definitely starting earlier and earlier every year, and it seems that we'll likely follow similar patterns this year, with shopping starting even earlier than usual. Thanks again for joining me today. I appreciate the time to present and share what's been working for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Menachem, for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the Zone. If you'd like to connect with Menachem, you can find him on Twitter at Menachem Ani. And if you have a question for Menachem, go ahead and type it into the chat right now if you're watching live on YouTube or LinkedIn, as we are about to get started with our live panel. Let's bring all the speakers back on screen now. Ecommerce PPC, let's get ready for the holidays. What a treat for PPC Zone August 2022 to get experts together from Meta Ads, Amazon Ads, and Google Ads all in one event. I'm your host, Jyll Saskin Gales, and I created this event to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. I'm here with Cory, Henke, Nerd in a Basement, who just spoke about Meta and the new commerce frontier. I'm here with Mandeep Kaur, Amazon business owner and coach, who just spoke about the current state of Amazon PPC. And I'm here with Menachem Ani, founder of JXT Group, who just spoke about making the most of Performance Max this holiday season. Thank you so much to all of you for taking the time to join me live today and for joining this panel with our live audience on YouTube and LinkedIn. So to get us started, a common theme I heard from all of you right now is that you are definitely looking ahead to 2022 and testing some new features that may not have been available in the past on your platform, or that you may not have tried in the past. So I'd love if you could each share, what is one thing that you're planning to do this holiday season in PPC that's going to be a new tactic, a new strategy, a new format? What's something new you're planning to try this year?
I think that the majority of our brands, different from last year or even today, will have checkout implemented so that their brands will be able to be purchased on a social platform. This has always been something they've been scared, about in the past. They never wanted revenue to come from two different places. Not many people trust social platforms with all the customer information. But I think we are to a point now where there is just too much movement towards that direction from an audience standpoint, as well as the tools that are provided to advertisers that use it. I think now you might be at a competitive disadvantage, if you don't take advantage of it.
If you're not enabling that buy on Instagram or buy on Google or whatever it might be, that native shopping experience.
Exactly.
Got it. And Menachem, I think I know what's going to be new for you this holiday season, but what's one thing you're planning to test for the first time in Q4?
Yeah, I mean, something that for retail, Performance Max was not available last year. So that definitely is something. But I think to kind of echo what Cory mentioned is leaning into that first party data. A lot of our clients might have been hesitant to share their customer list with Google in the past. But at this stage, it's like you kind of have to. And so uploading your email list, your customer list, giving the system more of that first party data, leaning really into it and allowing the system to do a better job.
First party data, absolutely something we're hearing a lot of. What about you, Mandeep? Is there something new or different you're planning to test this holiday season with your Amazon PPC campaigns?
Well, I've already put my orders in for Q4. So the test is a go. And It's actually just an extension of what I've done with other products. We have something called kind of a product collection ad where you're shown on the top of 3 products that are really targeted for that keyword. And what I've done is actually added variations. You have to have 3 products that would convert for that keyword. So I've actually, done test products of maybe, having the first product that I know will convert, and then the other 2 supplementary ones, whether the offer be a different color or a different size, just so I can get that spot and drive traffic, because those ads, the product collection ads, are only available to people who are brand registered, meaning you have a trademark. So it's another a barrier to entry, and those ads tend to be very low cost per click. And at the end of the day, it's about profitability, not always revenue, or it shouldn't be about revenue. It should be about profitability. So honing in on those little tactics of ensuring that I don't blow my budget for Q4, that I have these other variation products that make sense to drive traffic to my store on Amazon.
Got it. And if you are watching this live right now on YouTube or LinkedIn, you can feel free to type a question for any or all of our panelists into the chat, and we'll be sure to get to your question. So I've heard from all 3 of you some of the new things that we're going to be trying in 2022. And we know that change is the only constant in PPC. But that being said, there are probably still some fundamentals, just things that you always do to prepare for a Q4 holiday season that are going to be no different this year. So I'd love to hear from each of you after you've just shared something new you're going to be doing. What's something that's a tried and true, always must do to prepare for the holidays that you will continue to do this year? Menachem, would you like to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So for us, it's really a lot of just, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, making sure that we have all the promotional information available for each campaign, how long it'll be running, when it will be running, setting up in the back end of the system, promotion extensions, all that, to make sure that whatever the deal is or whatever we're promoting can really be pushed and taken advantage of. You want to try to set that up as early as possible to know that it's there, it's approved, it's in the system. You don't have to worry about it in the last minute.
None of those crazy last minute disapprovals that I know people get freaked out about. What about you, Mandeep? You mentioned something new you're trying this year. What's like a tried and true Q4 Amazon PPP success tactic that you're continuing with?
So we take our ASIN, or our product identifier, and we put it in a Chrome extension that we use called Helium 10. And through that, we're able to see where our organic ranking is. And ideally, the first page is 1 to 30. I will run that extension and see where I'm at in October. And the products that I'm maybe, position 40, I'll run a small campaign to bring that one up. The low-hanging fruit. That's a kind of a tried and tested method. And I'm actually sometimes surprised what I feel like language changes year to year and how we describe things, and what might be a keyword last year may not be a keyword this year, or we might identify a new keyword. And the only way you are able to really do that is to reverse ASIN yourself to see where your position is. And, I've had this happen where I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this word existed, because you can't rely on last year's data of how we describe products. There could be a new trending word associated with it. So I find that is really helpful in Q4, because not everybody's going to do that.
Got it. So keeping track of where you're kind of doing organically, giving a little boost if needed, and then keeping track of those keywords, because it's true. I know I was just searching for a grown-up lunchbox, and I learned that a bento box actually is what a lot of people call them. And so that was actually, here we go, my latest Amazon purchase. And what about you, Cory? What is something that's tried and true for you, always do in Q4, that you'll be continuing with in 2022?
I've been thinking about this question, and it is so tough to answer because everything literally changes. But I think for my advertisers, being mostly e-commerce, I think one thing that they definitely leaned into last Q4 was vertical video. And I think with the advancement to short ads that we'll see on YouTube, you've got stories, you have reels, you have TikTok. This is a video. This vertical video is something that can now scale across multiple platforms. Kind of like how we saw with landscape, how I was able to go with feed and as well as be on YouTube. Now you have this vertical. I just think that the new thing this year is, how do you make vertical for TikTok that's different from YouTube, right? You know, and is there a difference, or should there be a difference? So I think there'll be a lot more testing in Q4, but I think if I'm going to keep something the same, it's definitely vertical video and leading with video.
Vertical video. And we heard from Mandeep as well earlier during her talk about the importance of video on Amazon ads as well. And then Menachem spoke about Performance Max, where again, video is one of the key assets there for Performance Max to perform well. Speaking of which, we have a question here from Luna. Menachem, do you recommend pausing any existing shopping campaigns and letting Performance Max have the full spend, or is it okay to run concurrently? What do you think? Oh, I believe you're on mute, Menachem. There you go.
So the way the system is built is that any products that are within a Performance Max campaign takes precedence over any shopping campaign. And so if you have products running simultaneously in standard shopping or even smart shopping and Performance Max, it won't go to auction on the other campaigns. The Performance Max will take precedence and block the others from going into the auction. So typically it's okay to have them running concurrently, but there's not much of a point. If you do want to, as a strategy, have both campaigns running simultaneously, you want to make sure they have different product groups or products listed within each of the campaigns. Otherwise, they won't run.
Got it. Thank you from our resident Performance Max Google Ads expert. So I know the focus of today is really on PPC and the paid ads component of these platforms. But of course, whether it's Google or Amazon or Meta, Facebook or Instagram, there's a big organic component as well. And so is there anything that you do or you advise your clients to do that they need to start getting ready now in August, either organically or from a paid perspective, to prepare them for better results in Q4? What should business owners or agencies be doing right now to ensure the most successful Q4? Virtual can kind of wait until October or November. Mandeep, do you want to go first?
Have enough stock.
Have enough stock. Yes, that's been a huge problem recently as well, right, with supply chain issues. So how are you managing that, Mandeep? I think you mentioned you've already ordered your Q4 product.
Yes, I've already ordered my Q4 products, but I recently had a TikToker post my product, one of my products. And so I sold out of that particular product, and I didn't know how or why or what was going on. So yeah, searching for that. So over ordering because of the delays in shipments, and Q4 this year is going to be just pretty much the way it's been all year. Adding that 3 to 4 week buffer is going to be important to have, and just having extra stock, whether it be at a 3PL in the States or for me, my Canadian stock, I have extra just in my garage. Just to keep track, because what we see is our past data of what the keyword historical rank is for that product. But what I'm seeing year over year, there's a 20 to 30% increase, and sometimes us Amazon sellers are not factoring that in. Because it's not an exact science, but that does tie in some of your cash and your cash flow. But it's weighing that for your business. Are you better having more stock or running out of stock?
And so your perspective here is, for this year, you'd rather have a little too much rather than not enough to make sure you're not missing that opportunity.
Yes. For products that genuinely sell, having that extra 20 to 30% is the strategy I'm going with.
Great advice. So if you haven't gotten your orders in, get those orders in now. What about Menachem or Cory? Menachem?
Yeah, so I would echo a lot of the same. We've definitely had last year some of our clients run out of inventory on their top selling items. So that, that is super important. But I think that, and this is something that Cory might agree with, is just getting the right creative assets ready in advance. Especially leaning to Performance Max away from Google Shopping. It's like you need more of that image creative, video creative. And shorts is becoming a thing, so vertical video definitely is something that's important, but making sure you kind of have all that stuff ready in a timely manner so you can launch properly.
Having lots of creative ready now when we all have a little bit more time in August, September, versus trying to come up with new ad concepts in November when everyone's a little crazy.
Yeah. I think Instagram is a very unique place when it comes to organic. One of the things you have the ability to do is boost a post organically, via the Meta Business Suite or inside the Instagram app. This used to be a feature only for the Instagram app, but you can drive people directly to the Instagram profile. And so by doing that, you give people the opportunity to see what you did in the past, what you did today. They could go directly to your website, or they could visit your IG shop, all of it creating intent. And so what I want advertisers to think about, as we move into Q4, where is a better place to drive a user? Is it your shop or is it your website? Because sometimes we find that a website, I don't know how your website works. So that's something I have to learn that's new. It's easier for me as a customer to go to your Instagram to find out about your product or service potentially. And what we find is that when users go to the Instagram first and they make the organic jump to go to the website, it's usually a higher converting user. So what I would tell brands is to really think about the destination for their user and what's most likely going to drive that purchase for them.
It's really interesting because this event today is all focused on e-com, but on the lead gen side, there's that similar trade-off. You can have the lead gen form within, the Facebook ad itself where people don't leave the platform, or you can drive people to your landing page to then fill out a lead form there. And there as well, I give similar advice, like keep people on the platform. It's auto-filled, it's easier for the customer, even if it may have some potential drawbacks for the advertiser. And so I hear you saying the same thing on the e-commerce side as well. We are almost wrapping up our panel for today. So if you do have any last questions for our panel and you are watching this live on YouTube or LinkedIn right now, feel free to type that into the chat. One thing I did want to ask before we go is I know all of you have been in the business for many years. We've been sharing some success and tips and things to have a great Q4. I'm sure you have seen some disasters and made some mistakes before as well. So are you willing to share with us what is one Q4 disaster or mistake or something that has happened to you or a client that you want to make sure doesn't happen to anyone else? Any parting words of wisdom here?
I think I'll go first. And I know all of these tools that we have on the various platforms we talked about today are so business focused. And I think sometimes we need to bring it back to fundamentals of thinking like a customer. As Cory brought up that last point, as a person who goes and is on Instagram, seeing, visiting an external website and then trying to navigate through that, you're right. It comes down to the customer journey and making it as easy as possible and following that route. At the end of the day, that customer doesn't care how much pride and love you've put into that product. They just want to see how it solves their problem and the ease to buy the product. And when you keep it simple sometimes and have those basics in place, they do help, because I think we sometimes are so focused on the business aspect of it, we lose sight of our customer.
It's kind of echoing what Cory said, keep it really focused on the customer and just keep it simple, stupid. Cory, any kind of mistakes or horror stories you want to share with us?
It's tough, man. It's tough to bring up a horror story, but what I would advise is that if we're not innovating and we're not doing something different, we can't expect previous results. We have to always continue to move the ball forward. And so we have some advertisers that like to run, a week-long sale, same percentage off, right? Obviously, big increase first day, everything gets sold, and it kind of dribbles out, right? I would challenge advertisers, to have a different deal every single day. Right? And really put the pressure on bringing these users back organically with the thought of what could it be next day, right? So I see that advertisers kind of fail or kind of miss when they don't put enough of that pre-work in, to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and really giving the brand or giving the users or their customers something excited to be excited for.
Absolutely. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Menachem, any mistakes you wish you could have avoided or holiday horror stories?
I think it just all comes back to planning. Don't launch any major promos or campaigns right before you leave the office. Just make sure you have the time to check and ensure everything is serving properly. I've definitely seen my share of those kind of things over the years. So yeah.
Well, one I'll just add to that I saw from when I was working at Google is, especially if you're working with an agency to manage your ads, make sure not only that you have a plan, that you have a communications plan, especially through that Black Friday, Cyber Monday. What happens if something is out of stock? What's the action plan? Who's going to take point? What happens if there's a tech issue on the website 24/7? Who is the person who we are going to call or email about that? Every single year we saw websites go down over the weekend, people missing out on sales, and there's nothing you can do after the fact except try to make up for it the next year. So definitely along that line of keeping focused on the customer and then planning so that you are ready for any potential scenario. All right, this event is wrapping up now. Thank you once again to Cory, Mandeep, and Menachem for joining us today. Next month, PPC Zone September 2022, I'm excited to present What's Working Now in PPC featuring Amalia Fowler and Luna Rocha. Go to ppc.zone to set a reminder. You don't want to miss it. To learn more about PPC Zone and our speakers or apply to speak at an upcoming event, visit ppc.zone. I'm your host, Jyll Saskin Gales. You can find me on Twitter at Jyll Saskin Gales. I look forward to seeing you next time in the zone.